My name is Opio Acuti. I serve as the Member of Parliament for Kole North, and I am also the Secretary General for Lango Parliamentary Group, and I've been the focal person for cattle compensation under the Lango Parliamentary Group. Your Excellency, we want to welcome you to Lango once again. This is the 5th time since 2022 that you have visited our region. This shows your immense love for the people of Lango, your deep concern on matters of our development, and your passionate indulgence on critical issues in our hearts. Your Excellency, in the Lango culture, when a visitor comes several times, we no longer say thank you for visiting us, but thank you for coming back home. Apoyo bino pashu. Your Excellency, your presence here today to discuss matters of livestock compensation touches the core of the bone marrow of issues affecting Lango. From the villages of Lilim in Otuhe to the parishes of Icheme in Oyam, from the shores of Lake Kyoga in Amolata to the banks of the River Nile in Apache, and from the victims of the LRA insurgency in Kole to the homesteads where cattle rustling took place in Lira, our cry has been that the cattle compensation question be settled with certainty and finality. And Your Excellency, as political leaders, the matter of cattle compensation is very sensitive. The politicians say cattle compensation is a political birthplace. It can give birth to votes in triplets, if well managed. But it can also be a political graveyard. Some of us politicians can end up being buried in it if it is not well managed. Your Excellency, I want to thank you before talking about our proposals and recommendations on cattle compensation for the NRM Steady Progress programs in Lango, which resulted in milestones that have been the stepping stones for our socio-economic transformation. Your Excellency, Lango now has total peace. One can travel from the borders of Otuhe to the shores of Amolata without any challenges. You crushed the LRA years back and dismantled the networks of cattle rustling recently. The guns have fallen silent, and we can now hear the sounds of the hoes digging, the sounds of the tractors plowing, the sounds of the saucepans dropping, and some have even said the sounds of the beds shaking at night. Thank you for standing with us. Apoyo chunkedewa. Your Excellency, you have always guided us on wealth creation through PDM and adopted us and encouraged us to adopt perennial crops, notably coffee, which has a global market of $450 billion annually. Strong potential to boost household incomes according to the Chura, the figures that you're talking about. Your Excellency, we want to thank you because the government of Uganda last month began distributing 1 million coffee seedlings to Lango sub-region. And Kole has already received 176,480 coffee seedlings. Thank you, Your Excellency. Apoyo chunkedewa. We can say that we have now started implementing Musevenomics in Lango. Your Excellency, without good transport infrastructure, we would have been an island in the mainland because of the many swamps and water bodies in Lango. We thank you for the rehabilitation of the 66-kilometer Lira-Kamdini Road, which had become a death trap. Today, with its rehabilitation nearing completion, it has become an artery, ensuring smooth flow of goods to Kenya, Congo, and South Sudan. Apoyo chunkedewa. The 191-kilometer Renkunye Apache Lira Puranga Road construction has also shown great progress as its first phase nears completion. And lastly, the rehabilitation of the rail line from Tororo to Lira, Kole, Oyam, Gulu, which is ongoing. The people of Lango will be happy to hear once again the sound of the train with its horn blaring through the villages as it traverses the different stations and cuts through swampy, rocky, and the hilly terrains of Lango. Apoyo chunkedewang dushu. The last area, Your Excellency, I want to appreciate you Lango is known for the 4S. The first is sunflower, the second is soya, the third is simsim, but the fourth S is soccer. We want to thank you for the construction of a Kibwa Stadium that will host the 2027 AFCON tournament and market Lango to Africa. We are happy with the progress and consider the Kibwa Stadium construction as a golden goal scored by you in the gold sports of sports development on injury time in Lango. Your Excellency, as I now move to matters of livestock compensation, with its background from two cases that were registered in the Lira High Court about a decade ago. The first case was the case of Akelobeti, Bua Sam, and others of 2011, and I'm aware that these two persons are here with us today. The second case was that of DeLeon Johnson and others of 2010. The first case had 56,088 claimants. The second case had 69,745. Your Excellency, the presiding judge in these court cases was none other than Justice Simon Byabakama, the current chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Republic of Uganda. And during the hearing of the cases, the first case for Akelobeti, the judge gave a directive that before the ruling is made, the claimants need to be jointly verified together with their lawyers. The process was undertaken. The Ministry of Justice, alongside with the lawyers of the claimants, participated in the joint verification exercise. 56,088 persons were verified. The list was submitted in court, and the judge made the ruling in June 2014 for compensation and awards to be given. Similarly, a directive was also made on the DeLeon Johnson case and others, where the ministry was also directed to undertake a verification exercise jointly. And this process again was undertaken. 42,042 claimants were verified. This is the list that the Attorney General mentioned as part of the 92,652 claimants from Lango, Acholi, and Teso during the launch of the compensation exercise in March 2022 in Soroiso University. Your Excellency, the cattle compensation exercise began and we had a number of challenges. The 56,088 claimants that were verified in the compensation exercise were disenfranchised and left out by the time the livestock compensation was launched. Ideally, they should have been added to the Attorney General's list of the 42,042 claimants so as to make 98,130 claimants. This was not done. Additionally, out of the 42,042 claimants, 23,573 claimants were categorized as not approved and were not allowed to fill the data cards which had already been printed and distributed to the different districts. The number of claimants, therefore, after the launch in Lango, reduced from 42,042 to 18,469, who are the only ones allowed to fill the data cards. Your Excellency, this phenomena only happened in Lango. In other sub-regions, there were no categories of not approved persons. Those that were approved, again, the numbers of their cows were significantly reduced, between 1 to 10. And when you look at the statistics of cattle paid per household per capita in Lango, it's about 4, when in other sub-regions, it's as high as 10. Your Excellency, the Lango Parliamentary Group raised this matter to you in 2022, alongside the requirement of TIN numbers that was posing a challenge to eligible applicants. We thank you because during the meeting with Lango leaders in Alidi at Oyam, you directed that the Attorney General waive off the requirement of TIN numbers. We report that that requirement was waived off, and we thank you. You further directed that all those under the not approved category be paid, and those who went to court be included. Your Excellency, it took 2 years for this directive to be complied with, and after several follow-ups in 2024, the Ministry of Justice allowed the not approved data cards to be filled. Additionally, Ministry of Justice printed 18,000 data cards for Lango sub-region, which enabled part of the claimants under the case of Akelo Betty to fill them in. Therefore, the total number of data cards provided to Lango to be filled shot up from 18,469 to 60,042. And some of them are being verified at the Office of the Attorney General, while others under evaluation at the districts. Your Excellency, the onset of the cattle compensation, at this onset, a number of claimants affirm that they have been receiving the funds and have used it in various ways to improve on their livelihoods, including undertaking house construction, educating their children, land acquisition, purchase of cattle, among others. Majority, being senior citizens, have further enabled their resources trickle down to their children and grandchildren, the Bazukulu. In Lango, the Bazukulu, we call them the Ekwai. So this has trickled down to them. However, Your Excellency, this exercise is still facing challenges. To date, the estimates show that we have about 12,398 claimants that have been paid. This is just 10% of the 125,833 claimants who went to court. The quantum of payment has also been very low, with persons who had lost up to 50 cattle still receiving just one cattle or one cow per year, which implies this may take almost 50 years if we were to use this approach. There have been bounce payments because of invalid accounts. There's been a lot of extortion, Your Excellency. Data cards being sold at 100,000, 200,000 shillings. And even after that has been bought at 100,000, 200,000, you're told to come and look at the information, pay another 20,000. It has become a scheme and a racket for extortion. This has left the vulnerable people unable to access the payments. The non-involvement of the claimant coordinators who have been umbrella associations to coordinate them has led to difficulty in establishing the actual number of persons who have received payments and whether they're the rightful beneficiaries. According to the list of payments for Lango, a cut-off date of birth of 1969 and below has been applied for persons eligible for compensation. That means if you're born from 1970, then you literally are not eligible to receive this. Yet, Your Excellency, when the cattle insurgency or rustling took place, many people lost their parents, lost their property, and they become the leaders of child-headed families. They saw their parents being killed. They saw their cattle being taken away. They saw their property being destroyed. But as it is right now, they have been told they are minors. People born from 1970 onwards. We really find this as a very big challenge and marginalization and disenfranchisement from them. There have been several cases of fraud ongoing in the livestock compensation exercise. Several instances of forged data cards with altered beneficiary details, where names, NIN numbers, bank accounts have been whitewashed and replaced with other names have been noted. Incidences of beneficiaries receiving less than the payment sent as witness. People have slept in banks, Your Excellency, not for 2 days, not for 3 days, 1 week, expecting to be paid and going back when they have been defrauded, receiving less than what they should have received. Excellency, as leaders of Lango, we held a meeting yesterday with members of parliament present, political leaders from the district, religious leaders, cultural leaders at Lira City Hall, and came up with the following recommendations to present to you on the livestock compensation. The first is on payments. That all claimants, including those who went to court and have been verified by the local government structures and data cards submitted to the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, be fully paid without discrimination of age. The number of livestock to be paid should be done according to the number of livestock lost. A phased payment plan for each beneficiary should be provided, clearly indicating the number of installments to be made and the amount each claimant is expected to receive. This will not only avert the many cases of fraud where claimants are paid less, but also provide traceability for each claimant. We propose that each claimant be paid in a maximum of 3 installments. Additional data cards will also be printed and distributed to all claimants who haven't received them. And we have lists for those who went to court. We have lists that can be compiled at every district, submitted to the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, and the data cards are veiled and when they are assigned to each of the claimants that they have compiled. Secondly, Your Excellency, is on the budget and timelines. Government should fast-track the livestock compensation payments and the timeline be provided for its completion. We propose that since we're in the National Development Plan 4, this be considered. Your Excellency, we thank you for your wisdom and guidance. We've seen in PDM 1 trillion budgeted every year, and it has made a very big impact in Lango in transforming the economy. I'm sure, Your Excellency, as our father, as our visionary, once again, you're able to dismantle the cattle rustlers, you're able to dismantle the LRA, you can dismantle this big question of cattle compensation and ensure the payments are completed in a timely manner so that we don't have it in every election cycle. We also ask Your Excellency that the budget allocated should be commensurate with the number of cattle lost. And considering that these payments are going to be used for economic activities in our economy, it will grow the Lao economy. We also need, Your Excellency, to have administrative costs for the districts that are managing this cattle compensation, right from the LC1 to the LC3 to the Office of the Cow. Many times, they have had to use their own money to go on the ground to verify, their own resources to photocopy all this different documentation that is required. And that has been a very big challenge. We really request that you assist us in that. Thirdly, transparency and accountability. The Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs should make several changes to their procedures with a view of strengthening verification, enhancing accountability, and improving efficiency. This includes providing a list of all beneficiary payments to the districts prior to making the payments to ensure that they are verified. Sending out to each district up to the sub-county level the list of those paid and ensuring that data inconsistencies identified and notified to the districts within a month to enable timely rectification. They should also streamline the process and costs for getting letters of administration. Your Excellency, a letter of administration costs up to 500,000. When you look at the average farmer in Lango, that is what they get in a year. You have to exchange your livelihood for 1 year with a letter of administration to access it. But Your Excellency, there's been a lot of fraud that has taken place. And we are saying that investigations should be done on all cases of fraud across all the districts and implicated persons be prosecuted accordingly. We've heard that government has been having plans for restocking. Your Excellency, as I said, the livestock compensation discussion is a highly sensitive matter in a very delicate sub-region during a highly volatile season of elections. Your Excellency, the team that met yesterday welcomed this move as an affirmative action in addressing the pressing challenges of biting poverty in Lango sub-region. However, Your Excellency, they have asked that it should not be a replacement to the livestock compensation process, but an addition to it, so that we have a hybrid approach towards this matter. Your Excellency, the current campaign period is injury time, and we shouldn't concede any political goals because you have already scored a hat-trick of votes in the now political field. And we are always saying you are our top goal scorer in this campaign. You are our scorer of hat-tricks. You scored the Akibwa gold, you scored the Lira Kamdini gold, you scored the Rinkunya Patch Lira Puranga gold. Your Excellency, you can score the livestock compensation goal. And we have passed the ball to you, Your Excellency, as our striker, to make that final shot, and we're ready to celebrate and jubilate. Your Excellency, as I now conclude, the insurgency caused a strain on our infrastructure and also made Lango sub-region lag behind in our transport infrastructure development. Lango currently has the lowest stock of the estimated 6,000 kilometers of tarmac roads in the country, at only 33%, at 3%. We thank you so far for the interventions made to reverse this. However, Your Excellency, we are facing a very big challenge as politicians. In February, during the zonal tour, the Minister of State for Works told us that the Kona Yer Kona Bobby works will begin 2 weeks from that date in February. It's more than 2 months, coming to almost half a year. Works have not begun. And we were told that this road will be under the AFCON project. Secondly, Your Excellency, is the Lira Aloy Otuhe Abim Kotido Road. Your Excellency, your Member of Parliament, Honorable Mara, should have been in our meeting yesterday, but he was cut off by floods, and he arrived today morning. He had to travel transnight. We could not send a boat to bring him. We could not send a helicopter to bring him. He had to bear with the challenges. We really appeal to you that this road for Lira Aloy Otuhe Abim Kotido be tarmacked. The third road, Your Excellency, is the 88 kilometers Doholo Ochero Namasale Road. Again, Your Excellency, some of the villages have become islands in a mainland. They have to use boats for them to be able to cross. And again, Your Excellency, during the zonal tour, we were again told that since the construction of the Chero Katine Road is ongoing, the Doholo Ochero Namasale Road will be added onto it and even extended to Zengebe. Your Excellency, this has fallen silent. And also ask that our Lira airfield, now that we are having a stadium, let us have the Lira airfield upgraded to an airport. Since now Kibo will market us to Africa, we want Africa to come to Lango. And I believe an airport will be a very timely move for regional connectivity. As I conclude, you promised a while back to meet the fishing communities in Lango to address the burning issues on our water bodies from the fishermen. Your Excellency, the water is on fire, and we really ask you that this meeting be held because there have been issues of arbitrary arrests and killings. There were also issues of compensation for the fishermen. Your Excellency, we are putting this to your table. We still face challenges, Your Excellency. Compensation of the South Sudan businessmen from Lango. And some are here, Mr. Bosco Achandiru, their chairperson. Your Excellency, some of them lost road equipment. Others lost trucks, produce. As we speak right now, one has just died of cancer because he could not bear the stress of facing the difficulties. They have loans, the banks are seizing their property, their children have gone out of school, they have been reduced, Your Excellency, to ashes. Yet these were the big tycoons of Lango. Your Excellency, we really appeal that you intervene on this matter. Additionally, Your Excellency, we have the Amuha war veterans who helped work with the UPDF. As you said, you appreciate them with Akasimo. In Lango, we call it Poch. They are asking for Poch, Your Excellency, that you also consider them. I know their commanders are also here, and many of them. Okotogong has stood as part of them. And there are also the NRM historicals from Lango